Imagine a runaway trolley barreling down a track. Ahead, 5 people are tied up and unable to move. The trolley is headed straight for them. You are standing some distance off in the train yard next to a lever. If you pull this lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, you notice that one person is tied up on the side track. You have two options. 1. Do nothing, and the trolley kills the 5 people on the main track. 2. Pull the lever, diverting the trolley onto the side track where it will kill one person. Which is the more ethical option? This, in essence, is the trolley problem, a thought experiment in ethics and psychology. It's a puzzle with no easy answers, designed to make us confront our moral intuitions. It forces us to ask, how do we measure the value of human life? Is it more important to save more lives, even if it means sacrificing one? The trolley problem isn't about finding the right answer. It's about understanding the reasoning behind our choices. It's about exploring the gray areas of morality where the lines are blurred, and the answers are far from simple. The trolley problem presents a stark choice, a dilemma that cuts to the core of our moral compass. On one hand, we have the option of inaction. Doing nothing means 5 lives are lost, a tragic outcome by any measure. Yet, there's a sense of detachment in this inaction. We're not actively causing their deaths, we're merely observers to a tragedy unfolding. On the other hand, pulling the lever makes us active participants. We become agents of fate, choosing to sacrifice one life to save 5. This choice carries a heavy weight. We become directly responsible for the death of the individual on the side track, a burden that weighs heavily on our conscience. The trolley problem isn't about cold calculations or mathematical equations. It's about human lives, each one representing a universe of its own. It's about the agonizing decision of choosing between the lesser of two evils, with no clear moral high ground. The dilemma forces us to confront our own values. Do we prioritize the needs of the many over the needs of the few? Or do we hold the sanctity of each individual life as paramount, regardless of the consequences? The trolley problem, while seemingly timeless, has a specific origin point. It was first introduced in 1967 by British philosopher Philippa Foot, a pivotal figure in 20th century ethics. Foot, along with contemporaries like Elizabeth Anscombe and Iris Murdoch, challenged the dominance of utilitarianism in moral philosophy. Foot's work often involved crafting intricate thought experiments, the trolley problem being one of the most enduring. Her aim wasn't to provide definitive answers, but to provoke discussion, to unravel the complexities of moral reasoning. Foot's trolley problem wasn't simply an academic exercise. It was a springboard for exploring deeper ethical principles. It challenged the idea that morality could be reduced to a simple equation of maximizing happiness or minimizing harm. The trolley problem, in its original form, is compelling in its simplicity. However, its true power lies in its adaptability. Over the years, philosophers have devised numerous variations, each tweaking the variables to explore different ethical nuances. One such variation is the fat man problem. Imagine the same scenario, but instead of a lever, you're on a bridge overlooking the tracks. Next to you is a large man. The only way to stop the trolley is to push him off the bridge, sacrificing his life to save the 5. This variation introduces a visceral element to the dilemma. The act of pushing someone to their death feels instinctively wrong, even if it saves more lives. Section 5. The greater good utilitarianism and the trolley problem. The trolley problem serves as a battleground for competing ethical frameworks, each offering a different lens through which to view the dilemma. One such framework is utilitarianism, a consequentialist philosophy that emphasizes maximizing happiness and minimizing suffering. Utilitarians, in the case of the trolley problem, would likely argue for pulling the lever or even pushing the fat man. Their reasoning is grounded in the principle of the greatest good for the greatest number. Sacrificing one life to save 5 aligns with this principle, even if it means causing harm to one individual. Utilitarianism, for all its logical appeal, often clashes with our moral intuitions. The idea of sacrificing an innocent person for the greater good can feel deeply unsettling, even if we understand the rationale behind it. Section 6. The principle of action, deontology, and the trolley problem. In contrast to utilitarianism's focus on outcomes, deontology emphasizes the inherent rightness or wrongness of actions themselves. Deontologists like 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant believe in universal moral principles that should guide our actions, regardless of their consequences. From a deontological perspective, intentionally causing harm, even to save lives, is morally wrong. Pulling the lever, in this view, would be considered an act of killing, even if it saves a greater number of lives. Deontology resonates with our intuitive sense of justice and fairness. It upholds the sanctity of each individual life and rejects the idea of treating individuals as mere means to an end. Section 7, Right versus Right, when ethical systems collide. The trolley problem highlights the limitations of both utilitarianism and deontology. Neither framework provides a completely satisfying answer, leaving us grappling with the uncomfortable reality that sometimes there is no right choice. The dilemma forces us to confront the possibility that our moral intuitions may be flawed, or that different ethical systems can lead to conflicting conclusions. It reminds us that ethics is not about finding perfect solutions, but about navigating complex moral terrain where the answers are rarely clear-cut. The trolley problem is a reminder that moral reasoning is not a static, one-size-fits-all approach. It's a dynamic process that involves weighing competing values, considering different perspectives, and ultimately making difficult choices based on incomplete information. Section 8. Beyond the Tracks, Real-World Applications. The trolley problem, while hypothetical, has profound implications for real-world ethical dilemmas. From self-driving cars to wartime triage, the principles at play in the thought experiment find resonance in complex, real-life situations. Consider the development of autonomous vehicles. Programmers are faced with ethical dilemmas that echo the trolley problem. How should a self-driving car be programmed to react in an unavoidable accident? Should it prioritize the safety of its passengers, even if it means harming pedestrians? These are not merely theoretical questions, but pressing concerns that demand careful consideration as we integrate AI and automation into our lives. Section 9. The Autonomous Vehicle, a Modern Trolley Dilemma. The advent of self-driving cars brings the trolley problem hurtling into the 21st century. Imagine this. An autonomous vehicle is navigating a busy street when a child suddenly darts out into the road. The car's sensors detect an unavoidable collision. It has two options. 1. Stay on course, striking the child, or 2. Swerve to avoid the child, but crash into a parked vehicle, potentially injuring its occupants. This scenario, while less abstract than the original trolley problem, presents a similar ethical quandary. Should the car's programming prioritize the life of the child, even if it means risking harm to its passengers or others? Who is ultimately responsible for the outcome of such a decision? The programmer, the manufacturer, or the owner of the vehicle? The ethical considerations extend beyond the immediate situation. How do we, as a society, want these vehicles to behave in such situations? Should there be a universal code of ethics for autonomous vehicles, or should individual owners be able to customize their car's ethical parameters? Section 10. The Doctor's Dilemma, a Life-Saving Choice. The trolley problem's themes resonate beyond the realm of technology and find stark parallels in the medical field. Consider the case of a doctor faced with a limited supply of a life-saving medication. 5 patients are in dire need of the medication, each requiring a full dose to survive. A 6th patient arrives, critically ill, and requiring the entire supply of the medication to have a chance of survival. The doctor faces an impossible choice. 1. Divide the medication equally among the 5 patients, knowing it won't be enough to save any of them, or 2. Administer the entire dose to the 6th patient, potentially saving 1 life at the expense of 5. This scenario, while heartbreaking, reflects the real-life dilemmas faced by healthcare professionals. It highlights the complexities of resource allocation in medicine and the ethical considerations that arise when making life or death decisions. The trolley problem, in this context, underscores the importance of open communication, empathy, and a commitment to ethical decision-making in healthcare. Section 11. A question of morality, your trolley, your choice. The trolley problem, in its various forms, offers no easy answers. It's a stark reminder that morality is rarely black and white. It's about navigating the gray areas, wrestling with our instincts, and acknowledging that sometimes the right choice comes at a cost. So what's your answer? Would you pull the lever? Push the fat man? program the car to swerve? These questions have no right or wrong answers, but they compel us to examine our values, consider the perspectives of others, and engage in meaningful conversations about the complexities of ethical decision-making. The trolley problem is more than just a thought experiment. It's a mirror reflecting our own moral compass. It's a journey into the heart of our ethical landscape, a journey that begins with a simple question and leads to a universe of moral complexities.